Okay, Albert, scenario. You are at a professional networking event.
Oh no.
You're in the corner with a small plate of food you are not eating because you are too anxious.
This is extremely accurate.
Someone approaches you. They extend their hand. They say, "Hi, I'm James. What do you do?"
And I say, I am working in the marketing field.
That's technically correct.
But?
It sounds like you are reading from a form, not having a conversation.
Okay, yes, fair.
And then James says, "Oh, interesting. What kind of work do you focus on?" And you say,
I am doing the digital campaigns.
And James nods politely and suddenly remembers someone across the room he absolutely must speak to.
He does. He always does.
And you go back to not eating your food.
I go back to not eating my food. Okay, this happened. This exact thing happened. How did you know?
Because it happens to almost every non-native English speaker at professional events. And it happens not because their English is bad, but because networking English is a completely different register that nobody actually teaches.
Register, meaning style of speaking?
Style, tone, rhythm, the specific phrases people actually use. Because textbook English and networking English, they are cousins at best.
More like distant relatives who've never met.
Exactly. So today, that is what we are fixing. Welcome, everyone. I'm Mary.
I'm Albert. LeapTalk English, B2 level, real conversation, no scripts. And today we are talking about the English that happens in the room after the keynote speaker finishes and everyone turns to each other and has to actually talk.
That room. That specific terrifying room.
Word tour at the end. Stay for that. Quick comment question first. Have you ever been to a professional networking event in English? How did it feel? One sentence we want to know.
Okay, let's actually get into this.
So why is networking English specifically difficult? Because I think it's worth naming exactly what makes it different.
A few things. First, the time pressure. Networking conversations are short. You have maybe 3 to 5 minutes with one person before the natural drift happens and someone moves on. You don't have the luxury of a long conversation where you can recover from an awkward start.
So everything happens fast and the first impression is basically the whole impression.
Right. And second, the goal is unusual. In most conversations, you just want to communicate. In networking, you want to communicate and create a connection and be memorable and professional and warm all simultaneously.
Which is a lot of things to be doing while also constructing English sentences.
It really is. And third, and this is the one nobody talks about, the phrases native speakers use in networking situations are very specific, very formulaic, but in a way that sounds natural rather than stiff. And if you don't know those phrases, you end up using technically correct English that just sounds wrong in that context.
Like, I am working in the marketing field.
Like that. Grammatically fine, but no native English speaker in a casual networking moment would say it quite like that.
They'd say, I work in marketing. 3 words. 3 words.
Relaxed, confident, conversational. The field makes it sound formal in the wrong way.
So one of the first things is understanding that professional doesn't mean formal.
This is huge, actually. Networking English is professional in its purpose, but conversational in its register. The tone is warm and approachable, not stiff and official.
And the most common mistake is pitching it at the wrong level of formality.
Either too formal, which sounds strange, or too informal, which doesn't build professional credibility. There is a specific middle tone, and once you hear it, you recognize it immediately.
Okay, so let's get practical. Let's actually go through the phases of a networking conversation and give people real language for each one.
Yes, let's do it. Phase 1, the opener, the first 10 seconds.
And this is where most people freeze. Someone approaches or you approach someone and there's a moment of, what do I actually say?
And in English, the opener is almost always one of a small set of natural phrases. Not, "Hello, my name is Albert and I work in the marketing field." More like,
Hey, are you here for the whole conference or just today? That's one.
That's a good one, because it is a question, which immediately puts the other person in a comfortable position, and it is non-threatening. You are not asking them to immediately explain themselves professionally.
Or, have you been to this event before? Is it usually this good?
Also great, invites a shared experience, creates instant common ground.
Or simply, how do you know the organizers if it's a smaller event?
These openers do something important. They start with curiosity about the other person rather than a pitch about yourself, and that immediately makes you more interesting to talk to.
Because everyone at a networking event is slightly tired of people who lead with their own credentials.
Exactly. The person who asks good questions stands out more than the person who has the best answer to "what do you do?"
Phase 2, the what do you do exchange, because it always comes.
It always comes. And the key here is answering it conversationally rather than formally.
So instead of I am working in the marketing field,
I'm in marketing, mostly digital campaigns, B2B stuff. Natural, relaxed, uses industry shorthand, which signals you actually know the space.
or I work with tech startups, I help them with their content strategy, which tells them what you do for people rather than what your job title is.
Yes, that framing, I help people with X, is much more powerful than I am a X because it immediately answers the question they are actually thinking. What could this person do for me or my network?
And then the follow-up question, which is equally important. How do you respond when someone tells you what they do? This is where a lot of people default to, oh, interesting, and then silence, which kills the momentum.
The conversation just stops.
Whereas good networking English has specific follow-up phrases that keep things moving, like, oh, that's a growing area right now, isn't it? How are you finding it?
Or, I don't know much about that world. What does that actually involve day to day?
Both of those show genuine interest. They invite the other person to talk more, and people who make you feel heard are always remembered positively.
Phase 3, making it memorable. The part where something actually connects.
Because most networking conversations are forgettable. Two people exchange information and move on. The ones that stick are the ones where something genuine happened, a shared opinion, a moment of laughter, an unexpected connection.
And English has specific phrases that create those moments.
Yes, like, that's actually really interesting because I've been thinking about exactly that from the other side, which shows you are listening and have something to add.
Or, I was just talking to someone about this yesterday. Have you come across the idea that...
That one is brilliant because you are bringing in another thread, expanding the conversation, and you are positioning yourself as someone who is connected in that space.
Or simply, you know what? I'd actually love to hear more about that. Do you have a card or are you on LinkedIn?
Which is the natural transition to phase 4, the exit.
The exit, which people always forget to plan and then it gets awkward.
So awkward. You both run out of things to say and then you just stand there.
Looking at the room.
Looking at the food.
And in native English speaker networking, there are very specific graceful exits. Like, it's been great talking to you. I'm going to go and catch up with a few other people, but let's definitely stay in touch.
The let's definitely stay in touch is crucial because it closes the conversation warmly without it feeling like rejection.
Or, I'll let you get back to it, but really good to meet you, which acknowledges that they also have places to be.
Or even, I'm going to grab another drink, but I really enjoyed this conversation. Simple, honest, warm.
And then you walk to the drinks table, even if you don't want another drink.
Even if you don't want another drink. Committed to the bit.
Okay, let's do something. Quick role play. I'm going to be James, the person who approached you at the start.
Okay, let's go.
Hey, first time at one of these?
Second, actually. I came last year. You?
First time, still figuring out how it works. What do you do?
I work with small businesses on their social media, mostly helping them figure out what actually gets results versus what just looks good. What about you?
Oh, interesting. I'm on the client side, actually. I head up comms for a mid-size retail brand. We've been trying to figure that exact thing out.
Oh, that's such a common challenge right now. The gap between vanity metrics and actual impact. Have you found anything that's clicked for you?
And that right there is a real networking conversation. It's warm, it's curious, it's professional without being stiff, and every single phrase in it is learnable. And notice, neither of us said anything impressive. Neither of us listed our credentials or achievements. We just talked, like humans, about something we both had genuine interest in. Which is all networking actually is, at its best. Two people having a conversation that both of them wanted to have. And English just needs to get out of the way enough for that to happen. Which it will, with the right phrases and a little practice.
Word toy.
Word tour.
Word tour. First word, register. In language, register means the style or level of formality you use in a particular context. It shifts based on who you are talking to and why.
For example, networking English uses a professional register, but a conversational tone, formal in purpose, but relaxed in delivery. Or getting the register wrong, too stiff or too casual, is one of the most common reasons people feel uncomfortable in professional settings. Repeat, register.
Register. Next, credentials. Your credentials are your qualifications, experience, and achievements, the things that establish your professional credibility.
For example, the best networkers rarely lead with their credentials. They lead with curiosity and let credibility emerge naturally. Or, she had impressive credentials, but the conversation only got interesting when she stopped listing them. Repeat. Credentials. Credentials. Next, common ground. Common ground is shared experience, interest, or opinion between two people, a foundation for genuine connection. For example, good openers at networking events are designed to find common ground quickly before the professional exchange begins. Or they discovered common ground immediately when they realized they had both worked in the same city for the same client. Repeat, common ground. Common ground. Next, momentum. We have used this before, but it is especially important in networking. Momentum in conversation means the forward energy, the feeling that the conversation is flowing and going somewhere. A dead response like, "Oh, interesting," kills the momentum of a conversation immediately. Or asking a genuine follow-up question is the single most reliable way to maintain conversational momentum. Repeat, momentum.
Momentum.
Next, vanity metrics. This is a professional phrase worth knowing. Vanity metrics are measurements that look impressive, but don't necessarily reflect actual business value, like follower counts that don't translate to sales.
For example, she focused on vanity metrics like page views until she realized they had no connection to actual revenue. Or knowing phrases like vanity metrics signals to other professionals that you understand the real language of the field. Repeat, vanity metrics.
Vanity metrics, useful in marketing, tech, and business conversations.
And finally, credibility. Credibility is the quality of being trusted and believed, the sense that you know what you are talking about and can be relied on.
For example, using the right industry language builds credibility faster than any amount of formal credentials in a networking context. Or she established credibility not by listing her achievements, but by asking questions that she genuinely understood the problem. Repeat, credibility.
Credibility.
6 words today. And honestly, register, momentum, common ground, and credibility, these come up in every kind of professional communication, not just networking.
Right. Okay, small challenge before we go. If you have ever been to a networking event in English or any professional situation, think of one moment where the conversation went well. What made it work?
And if you haven't, think of one opener from today you could actually imagine using and say it out loud, right now. Practice it once.
Because the phrases only become natural when you say them, not when you think them.
I'm Mary.
I'm Albert. Thank you for listening and for practicing. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.